So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar on IBM Controller. I think we will start in 1-2 minutes. We are waiting for some more participants.
Can you hear me okay, Max?
Yeah, perhaps if you can increase a little bit the volume.
You mean you want me to talk louder?
Yeah.
You're a bit quiet, Neil.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything we do about that? Yeah, okay.
Okay, I think, Neil, we will start.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining this webinar on IBM Controller. So I will give you a quick introduction of the speakers. So there will be 3 speakers today. So myself, so I'm Max Dechestre, I'm product manager for IBM Controller. I've been working for 28 years for consolidation solutions and mainly with IBM Controller. And I was previously a consolidator in a major holding in Belgium. I co-host this webinar with Ain, so one of our major partners in Europe. They are represented today for this call by Neil Whitmore, one of their key founder. He's specialist in consolidation, but also planning and IFRS 16. And then we have a special guest from one of our customers, supported by Ain, All3 Media. Catherine O'Keefe from the finance department will give a testimony on IBM Controller. Before we start, just to ask you to raise your questions in the chat. It's the first icon on the top bar on the left side. And then we'll try to answer your questions during the presentation or just after. Thank you. So Neil, over to you.
Thank you, Max. I'm only 25 years in consolidation around controller, so I'm 3 years behind you. As Max said, if you want to ask questions, put them in the chat. If you get any kind of problems dealing with chat or just want to email us afterwards, then neil.whitmore@hain.co is my email address, and you can send it there or just go to the hain.co website. The agenda for today is to talk about some of the challenges of manual financial consolidation, and inevitably what we mean by that is largely Excel. We're also going to be talking about how IBM Controller streamlines the close process, in other words, problem solution. We're going to be talking about some of the features and the best practices around efficient, compliant reporting. And that means getting the right numbers out to the right people at the right time. And some real life success stories. Well, we have one here with us today in Catherine, who'll be talking about how All3 Media, a large group of television production companies, use Controller and indeed have been using Controller for some time. And then Q&A at the end. So that's your chance to talk to us. As I said, if you prefer not to, you can always email me and we can have separate conversations afterwards if that's how you prefer to do it. This is a unique opportunity because we've got IBM in the form of Max, who I've known for many years. So we have the actual the vendors with us, supporting us, Hain Solutions, as an IBM partner. So IBM Controller is part of a wider offering that IBM has in its business analytics solution. The fellow elements to the offering our planning analytics and Cognos analytics. That gives us the ability to link up the close consolidate report functionality with plan budget forecast and with business intelligence and reporting. That gives you a far better joined up data-driven decision-making capability. So it's quite possible just to buy either one of these products, or preferably to buy 2 or 3 of them and join them all up, and they're meant to be joined up. So let's talk about the technical challenges of transforming disparate data into consolidated financial statements. So you're a group, you have a group of companies, and you are probably acquisitive, and therefore you have a number of ledger systems, all with differing charts of accounts. How do you consolidate all that into a group result? It's quite a challenge. And without the structure of a consolidated solution, without the structure of a consolidation database, this can be quite an uncomfortable journey, as many of you know from trying to do consolidations in Excel. So let's look at some of those consolidation technical challenges. As I've said, we've got disparate source systems. It's quite common for a company to have, for a group to have 100 different companies, and within that, you might find you've got 20 or 30 different ledger branded systems. And indeed, wherever some people have the same ledger system, it may be implemented differently with a different chart of accounts. There's also the issue of multi-currency, so translating from different currencies into your reporting currency, and also different translation methods according to differing local gaps across the world. Intercompany, sorry to swear so early, but intercompany is often a bit of a swear word in terms of groups. If you speak to any prospective customer that has just looking to implement a consolidation solution, the first issue we have to try and resolve is intercompany. Particularly groups that sell a lot in between the group, within the group, where there's a large amount of intercompany activity. Very often, the first thing we send people away to do when we're implementing a consolidation solution is go and sort out your intercompany coding, so that we can pull intercompany data by counterparty into the system. The other sort of challenges that we have are eliminating internal ownerships, cross ownerships, complex sometimes, particularly in companies like Germany. Excuse me. So we have topics like equity elimination, non-controlling interests, joint ventures. We still see a lot of those within groups, and the ability to cope with all of that complexity is a vital part of any consolidation solution. And finally, aggregation. So once we've done all the eliminations, we need to be able to aggregate them. And we need to be able to drill down, and we need audit trails so that we know what changes were made and when, and how the result changed. Often this is a layer that Excel falls very short of in terms of requirements. You have a result, it'll give you a result, but you don't really understand what the result is. You can't drill down into it very easily. You don't understand why the result has changed over days. It can be very challenging using something like Excel. And we're not here to knock Excel. Hain Solutions is also a Microsoft partner, so I have to be careful what I say. But Excel is a desktop tool. It's a desktop productivity tool. It's very good at doing certain things. And indeed, when you set up a new group, the first thing you turn to is Excel, because it's a tool that's to hand, it's on the desktop. But it can easily get out of hand, and it's not a database, and it's not a true application. Aside from the technical challenges that you have with manual consolidations, there's also process challenges as well. So multi-users, or should we say people, people do different things at different times, that it's very difficult to herd people to do the right thing at the right time. And you have language, you have currency, you have timing differences over the world. While you're asleep, there are other people consolidating. So there's a variety of issues that are caused by people. Sorry, we're all people, but you know what I mean. Having many users globally accessing a system, it presents all sorts of problems. Audit trail, as I said just now, when we make changes to the system, sometimes we don't realize the impact of what we're doing. Sometimes we change numbers and forget we've done them. I've had situations with IBM Controller where a senior user has come to me and say, why is this data changed? And we've looked in the audit trail within the system and found indeed it was that particular person who changed a key metric, a key piece of data in the system, but had forgotten they'd done it. So audit trail is useful for knowing who did what when, but it's also a useful reminder for you, the senior user, under pressure, to remind you of what changes you made. Very often the bottom line changes and you need to understand why that is. The audit trail will give you some good clues as to how that's happened. Data changing over time. Data integrity. Time pressure means that data integrity sometimes can be shortcut. People are meant to make validation checks, usually offline with Excel again, and don't because of the time pressure. And so it's very important to to have data enforced data integrity checks that can assure you, the user, your boss locally, the hierarchy between you and the group CFO. So data integrity checks are very important. And last minute changes. It's very important to have a solution that gives you the ability to adjust numbers using journals. Very often we see ugly, and I mean really ugly, changes to formulae where it says equals sum A1 to A10 plus £500,000. I've seen that before now in Excel, so I'm sure you don't do that. That's, I think, was a case many years ago with Enron. So what you need is the ability to capture last minute changes that give you an audit trail of those changes and maybe a classification of those changes by, say, type. So maybe late adjustment to profit, tax adjustments, and so on. So how do we address those challenges? Well, firstly, you need rich functionality. You need to avoid Excel for processing. You need strong data integrity controls, delivering predictable results. And predictability is the key word for this solution. A lot of people find one of the biggest challenges of doing a year-end consolidation under intense time pressure is that the result changes unpredictably. So what you need is the functionality to help you to explain why things are changing and to keep your blood pressure down, basically. Owned by finance. This is key, and this is key to the way Controller was built. Controller was built by accountants for accountants. That was the phrase that we've been using for many years. What this means is that it is a true application, and therefore you need a solution that can be changed over time as needs of the business dictate, without involving expensive consultants, as you guys call us, but without involving IT guys that don't really understand consolidation. So what you need is a solution that's owned and managed by finance. Easy adoption. It's got to be something that's easy to build and easy to maintain. that leverages our existing Excel skills. We're not throwing Excel away. We're not dissing Excel all the time. This is about using Excel for what it's good at, which is maintaining lists, writing reports, building forms that can be that can capture data entry. It needs to be workflow based, so it needs to be intuitive, and it needs to deliver a frictionless month end. So it's got to be something that is easy to use, easy to adopt, easy to change. Excuse me. It needs to have flexible deployment. These days, a lot of people go for cloud-based, SaaS-based solutions. We can offer that. Some people prefer on-premise, which they can deploy in their own private cloud, or some people still use on-premise. All of those options are available to you. You also need, maybe later on, if you were to take an on-premise solution, you need to be taking on the ability to move to cloud. IBM offers this. There's a bridge to SaaS option that gives you the ability to seamlessly move to IBM SaaS. So the future is guaranteed if you don't take SaaS straight away. You need something that's dependable. We have many IBM controller customers, and they all seamlessly prepare their month-end, quarter-end, budget results, half-year end, year-end, and management accounts, month in, month out, with the dependability. You've got to have the confidence in the solution. You've got to believe that when the system tells you the answer is X, then you know that is the answer is X, and you can drill down and prove to yourself that the solution is giving you the right results. It's a mission critical process. Many of our customers deliver a month end in 2, 3, 4 days. So it's got to work. It's got to work quickly. So how does it work? So we have different charts of accounts and different reporting standards within the group. We have different functional currencies, quite a few in some cases. We have intercompany transactions that need to be managed, controlled, reviewed. We need to make ownership adjustments, investment eliminations, equity accounting, so on. And we need to cope with multiple legal entities of varying sorts, of wholly owned down to 10% owned. So we've got quite a rich tapestry of problems there to cope with. Firstly, controller deals with data mapping. So that's mapping the chart of accounts and the data that's attached to it into the group reporting chart of accounts, which is sitting in controller, which may or may not be the same as your ledger system. Some people have group-wide ledger systems with a chart of accounts, which can be used in controller, but consolidation in itself brings its own needs to a chart of accounts. So I prefer to call the controller chart of accounts the group reporting chart of accounts. So we need to map that data. We also need to do more complex mapping around intercompany transactions, whereby you might be mapping an account in your chart of accounts to a counterparty within the solution. We need to deal with currency translation, so we will have uploaded FX rates for average and close for the period, and we need to apply those. So we need a system that applies those currency rates and effectively gives you the converted currency rates in as many currencies as you need. So most people think that all you do is convert your local currency to group reporting, but there may well be legal groups or companies in the tree up to the top, which require you to convert currency into differing currencies according to sub-ownerships all the way through the structure. We then need to handle intercompany eliminations. And as I've alluded to before, this can be quite a challenge for some people to do this manually. So we need to build rules around intercompany eliminations that will give us a good view on the eliminations. We also need exception reports, which control contains, that will give us effective reporting on any mismatches or unagreed intercompany balances, so you can manage those. And you need to be able to filter out the ones that do match so that you only have unmatched ones for you to action. Then we need a layer which eliminates the ownership calculations, the investment eliminations, the complex cross ownerships, and also changing ownerships over time. Controller is quite unique in the sense that it has time-stamped company structures that will give us the ability to consolidate a company in one ownership percentage in one period, but as it changes, we can consolidate it to a different ownership percentage in another period. And then the final piece is to add all that together to the aggregation layer, the consolidation layer, and that will give you the consolidated financial statements. As I referred to earlier, control is but one part of the business analytics offering, and this is quite a complex diagram, but basically what it says is that you can have inputs into controller from your ERP solution, from a general ledger solution, from a data warehouse, from others like trading systems, HR systems, SOP, POP. And these can be handled outside of controller as necessary, if you prefer, and these can be handled inside a tool like planning analytics, whereby the detail can rest in a staging area, either within controller or within one of its sister products, planning analytics, and that gives us the ability to have live feeds coming through from ledger systems directly into planning analytics. And then there's a trickle system, the financial analytics publisher, which brings the data into controller automatically. So this is quite a big step up from Excel conceptually and from a solution perspective. We also have the ability then to capture the consolidated results back into planning analytics. So you've got the before and the after in planning analytics. And then we can attach Cognos Analytics or a reporting tool of your choice onto planning analytics and get deeper, richer reporting out of that. That said, controller has its own reporting capability based on Excel. So 5 minutes ago, I was telling you how rubbish Excel is, but we're now using Excel for what it's very, very good at. It's not an application. You can't build an effective application in Excel. But what you can do is use Excel for reporting. It's very, very good at that, and we have that ability built into IBM Controller. I should say that Controller also has built-in reports. Many of them, about hundreds of built-in reports that you don't have to write, that give you drill down, that give you analysis of nodes, like analysis of dimensions, like the chart of accounts and extended dimensions. So a lot of it is good to go. You don't have to write these reports. All you need to do is write your company specific reporting the way you want it. So why buy IBM Controller? It's a purpose-built application, a true application for consolidation. That's what it was built for. Nothing else. It's not something that happens to be quite good at consolidation as well as other things. It was built to perform consolidation. It is, as we say, a nutcracker to crack a nut. It's intended to do this. It has a proven track record over many years, a tried and tested solution. A number of our customers, including All3Media and Catherine, have been customers of ours for many years. It works, so people stay. You can deploy it on-premise or cloud or private cloud, however you want to deploy it, we can give you pricing for. It's a true application, so it has out-of-the-box functionality. You're not having to build the logic that you need in scripting and so on. It's a true application ready to go. All you're doing is filling in your chart of accounts and the dimensionality of your business and then running it through the application itself. And yes, it's got Excel integration, so we're building on the skills you already have in Excel to write reports. So Controller is, as I said, purpose-built for consolidation. It's optimized for consolidation with no design compromises that inevitably come from trying to be a Jack or Jill of all trades. It was designed for consolidation. And this is a single mission critical process, which it does extremely well and has been doing for a number of years, with the consolidation team in control. And by that, I mean they can control how the system is developed over time, new companies, new subsidiaries. If you're acquisitive, all you've got to do is add a new company to the company structure. New charts of accounts as things pop along, in our daily lives, like IFRS 16, where did that come from? So we have to change the chart of accounts there. And all this equates to a simple, robust, sophisticated solution with less of the complexity that's seen in other products. I've been talking about a true application. Let's just have a look at that. It's got out-of-the-box functionality. As I say, you just add your dimensionality in your data and away you go. There's no scripting required. A lot of our competitors require you to script certain functionality that is regarded as basic in Controller. So we're not going to teach you to become a programmer overnight. You don't need to do that. It's all configured via a menu-driven user interface. So no programming language required, really. The dimensions are predefined. So core dimensions like account and company are predefined. We also give you the flexibility to activate additional dimensions for segmental analysis, like market, geography, product or product group. And a number of our customers use additional dimensions as required for segmental analysis. There are pre-programmed processes. The standard consolidation calculations are part of an inbuilt function for consolidation. It's optimized by a development team as opposed to implementation consultants. So in other words, you can optimize the solution yourselves once you've had suitable training. And as I've said, there's a library of sister reports, over 150 pre-built reports, which give you control over data validation and audit trail and system documentation. One of the things that I find is well met is when you come to your first audit and the external auditors want to audit the system. When you tell them that they've got IBM Controller, they say, okay, fine, we've audited it before, should be no problems. And it generally gets a very big thumbs up from external audit. So what are the main benefits then of IBM Controller? It's a fast and low risk implementation. Typically, don't hold me to it because it depends from customer to customer, but what we tend to find is that we can, when we develop the solution with you, within a week, we can start seeing progress. So within a week, we can have a chart of accounts set up, assuming you have a good idea as to how a chart of accounts should be in your group reporting solution. If not, we've got documents that we can send you on advice for developing a chart of account structure, a hierarchy, a coding structure. But assuming that you've got some idea about that and a company structure and some data ready to load, we can have data loaded within days, and that's very important. We've implemented other solutions for other customers, and often it takes weeks before you get to the same situation that you can get to in days with Cognos Controller. The system has inbuilt validation and auditability of data via the system reports, as we discussed earlier. Changes to the application are quick and easy. I tend to think of it as 3 levels of complexity. We teach you to keep the system going day to day. We hopefully have taught you to make slightly larger changes, the medium-sized changes, maybe with a quick phone call to us just to make sure you're not going to break anything. And then there's the larger changes, like when you're restructuring, when you've been bought out by another company, where you've got major acquisitions and so on. Sometimes that needs a little bit of our help. So that's the high level change. So we believe that you should do the small and medium sized changes yourself. And sometimes you need us to help you with the larger aspects. But by and large, you will be in control of the solution. We will train you to be in control of your solution from day one. And the training courses that we have reflect that aim. The fact is that you can maintain the system without consultancy, without IT input is absolutely key. Designed by finance for finance. The standard application means a help desk won't immediately redirect to a consultant. Because it is a standard application, our help desk know exactly how the system is set up just by looking at it, and our help desk closed 90+% of all tickets without referring it to a consultant. And that's absolutely key because it speeds things up. If you're trying to get some results to your boss by 5 o'clock tonight and there's something gone wrong and you don't quite know what it is, and the help desk look at it and they can resolve it straight away, that gives you more confidence in the solution. If something does go badly wrong with data and you need additional support, we can get consultants onto it. We can offer round the clock support, follow the sun support. These are all very important aspects. Being in control of the solution is important to you, but knowing that there's someone around who can help if something does go wrong is equally as important. The IBM controller development team is growing currently. They're recruiting. Is IBM, and the system is constantly being updated to a changing world. In terms of the amount of development work going on, I don't think we've ever had as many developers as we have now. So this isn't an old product. It's been around a while, but it's being developed constantly with new front ends, faster applications, and so on. So this is very much a developing and live solution. So here's a sort of an example of what I'm talking about. On the left, we have controller. This is actually the control tables for intercompany balances. It's visual, it's easy to understand, easy to change. The help functionality will explain anything you don't understand. If you don't understand it even more, then we can help you. So that's how controller works, by a graphical user interface that's easy to use. On the other side, other solutions use Visual Basic or XML based coding, and you have to write this code yourself. Well, that's typically going to be written by external consultants or a member of your IT team, which means you lose control. So this is what other solutions look like. The left-hand side is what controller looks like. Because it's standard in the way it looks and feels, it's more supportable. Imagine being on the support desk of one of our competitors' products and being presented with the screen on the right and saying this doesn't work. You just know that the solution you're going to get, the help you're going to get and the solution to that problem is going to take longer than the one on the left. Excel integration. So I started by dissing Excel. Now I'm coming back from that, saying it's really good for reporting. So and we also build forms that are used for reporting. So the advantage of the Excel add-in that comes with controller is that there are 60-odd custom functions. So you can pull data directly from the database into Excel yourself. Usually when we're training people, if we've hit a bit of a lull in the project, we show them how the Excel add-in works, and that usually enthuses them enormously. I've personally seen a lot of people get really very excited about the fact that you've got functions that work within Excel, directly, natively within Excel, that are pulling data, standing data as well as financial data into Excel, and therefore you can build reports exactly how you want them. There is the ability to honour full security. So if I am the financial controller of a subgroup, let's call me ABC Group, then within the security screens within Control Loop, the administrators will say, I only have access to ABC Group and its subsidiaries. So that security is honoured within the Excel add-in. So if I then try pulling data for my company, I can only see data for that company or that group. The fact that we're using Excel for reporting means we're building on your existing, your users' existing skills, which is a sort of a very familiar environment. We're also developing a true web-based Excel experience. What you can see on the screen here is an example of a form being rendered as a grid, columns and rows, is what we used to in Excel, which is currently showing the analysis of fixed assets, but it could be any other forms in the list on the left-hand side. So we're using Excel to render grid-like information back to the user. Now this could be read-write, so you may be viewing something like a closed period, in which case you can't edit the data, or if it's the current reporting period, you can edit the data as needed, or if it's an analysis that you can't get out of the ledger system, you might be keying in numbers like headcount numbers and that sort of thing. So that's Excel integration. Now I want to talk about licensing options. So traditionally, years ago, we only sold perpetual licenses. In other words, you own the licenses forever. You would account for it as an intangible asset in your books, and you pay a maintenance fee of 20%, which includes both product support and software development. So it gives you the right to take updates of the software. That is a traditional way of buying it. IBM have introduced SaaS in the last 6 or 7 years, whereby you rent the licenses rather than buy them, where the SaaS price includes product support. But we at Hain have got an innovative way of doing this, and we are, as I said, Microsoft Gold partners, so that we can host the solution for you, so you can actually buy perpetual licenses rather than SaaS. And if I'm honest, the perpetual licensing route is cheaper than SaaS, because SaaS is rental and includes IBM servers. So what we've been doing with existing customers is taking the perpetual licenses and putting them into Hain Cloud, which is on Microsoft Azure. And you pay us for a Microsoft tenancy, either in your name or ours, depending on how we configure it. So that gives us three very different options. There is the old-fashioned perpetual, there is the IBM SaaS route, but we can do it in a halfway house whereby it's cloud-based, but you're either buying the perpetual licenses or moving your existing perpetual licenses into Hain Cloud. And we find that over, say, 5-7 years of calculations that we do, we can prove that it's a cheaper way of buying it. So for the accountants amongst us then, perpetual, largely the cost is appearing below EBITDA. Sorry if this table is a bit confusing, but it's quite clear to an accountant. But you've also got the maintenance costs, which are above EBITDA. IBM SaaS all goes above EBITDA. So there are people out there who are targeted on EBITDA, who want to take costs below EBITDA if they can, who therefore are not so interested as they might be with IBM SaaS. With Hain Cloud, we can sell you the licenses, and therefore that element of the costs goes below EBITDA, so we can limit the impact on EBITDA. We'll be sending out a copy of these slides, so you can look at this slide in more detail when you receive them. But those are the basic 3 different licensing styles that Hain can offer. Just talking about IBM SaaS for a minute. If you do buy perpetual licensing, you can then move those licenses to IBM SaaS using a process called Bridge to SaaS. I just want to talk about some of the aspects of IBM SaaS. So you have business continuity and disaster recovery, as you might imagine. All the backups are done for you, backing the data up to a secondary data center for disaster recovery, which is periodically tested. In terms of security, IBM has a comprehensive set of practices and policies. In terms of compliance, it complies with SOC 2 and ISO 27001, certified GDPR ready. In terms of support, you've got dedicated in-house team from IBM who can offer follow the sun support model. I didn't even know that existed until we had a problem with a customer once that took all night to solve, and we literally followed the sun with support. So that's kind of a little bit of an insight into IBM SaaS. Now let's compare IBM SaaS with Hain.cloud. So Hain's cloud offering, in terms of compliance, we're also SOC 2 compliant. The product of Microsoft Azure is ISO 27001. Hain itself is ISO 27001 certified, which is no mean feat, believe you me. The support is very similar. People rave about our support, and Catherine will probably mention it later on. In terms of security, we have the same security capabilities. So the solution is very similar in terms of security, backups, and certification. I just want to talk about implementation and our approach to implementation. Our approach to implementation, firstly, I'd like to say as a founder of the business, because I started this business with this ethos, was we do not want customers to be dependent upon us. And that is not what I would consider a success. We empower clients to make changes to the system themselves. And it's one of the shocks that consultants like myself and Nilesh and Karen have sometimes is when you go on site for the first time for a while at a customer site and say, what have you been doing to this system? It looks nothing like it. In a way, that's a great thing because people are capable, because they've been trained and encouraged by us to make changes to the system that we've built for them. In terms of implementation, it takes typically 30 days of implementation to do a simple consolidation solution, up to say 80 days with complex, with automated cash flows and a lot of import routines for bringing data directly into the system. What we do, which I don't believe other people do, and I think is unique to us, is we give you a detailed estimate pre-sales, whereby we report back on that detailed estimate when we're implementing it. So we give you a very detailed plan pre-sales about how we're going to implement it. And then when our engagement managers, when they're managing implementation projects, they will then report against those, against that estimate line by line. So we can all see where we are. And occasionally, quite often actually, when we're implementing it, you, the customer, decides that they actually want more than we originally envisaged. And so we do a change control note and we will agree how much extra time that's going to be. What that does is give us all, and particularly you, the customer, a reconciliation of what we said it was going to take with what it actually took to implement. It's very important to us. We don't just assume we're going to say, let's call it 30 days and then implement it at 50 and nobody knows why it took 20 more days. So we have a very strong handle on that kind of spend. We're spending your money. In terms of support, well, a solution like financial consolidation requires what we call instant support, because that's what our customers demand. If you've got to report your numbers tonight and the system isn't giving you what you want, and you can't understand what the problem is, you want us to fix it like that. In your dreams, you go like that and the problem's fixed. We try and adhere to that as near as possible. And we have a very small, tight team here in Stratford-on-Avon. Some of the people on the support desk are ex-IBM and ex-IBM trained and have been with the product for a number of years, more years than probably I've got. So the first level support is very important to the customer. As I said earlier, we close 95% of our support tickets directly from the help desk without it being forwarded to the consultants or IBM. Occasionally we find a bug, not very often, I have to say, not very often at all. And that involves us reporting it to IBM. So our customers speak very highly of our support. It gives them what they need, the nearest thing to instant support we can offer. Within the sort of contract, you are getting supported for IBM Controller. A lot of people take, and we brand that as Hain Assist. A lot of people take a Hain Assist Plus. Why? Because it means that we won't stop when we say, it's something else beyond our control. We will do our level best to fix the problem or to advise you how to fix the problem if it is nothing to do with IBM Controller. Now, we've all had experiences in personal life and in business life with help desks where they say, it's somebody else's fault, go away. It's him, because nothing to do with us. We don't do that. We try not to do it with Hain Assist, but there are limits as to what we can do with that. With Hain Assist Plus, we will follow it right down to a faulty plug on the server, real life case. Anything that we can do to help get you back up and running with Hain Assist Plus, you've got that. And I say, our customers speak highly of that. Catherine, we were going to do a case study on a company called All 3 Media, an international television production group, but we actually have their group reporting manager here. So Catherine, can I hand over to you momentarily to talk about what IBM Controller does for you?
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, I've worked at All 3 Media for 10 or 11 years now. So I've used Controller the whole time, either as being the financial controller at one of our TV companies. So first I was the data entry, as it were, inputter into Controller. So in that respect, I've seen the ease of using it of a month-end reporting. And then I've since then spent the time being the super user as the group consolidation manager here for a long time. So I can only echo really what Neil said, that I do feel like I'm entirely in control of it and I look after it for our group. And in terms of help desk, we have Assist Plus, but I've used it once or twice a year for occasional things where I need a bit of assistance. And I get a very full response within the hour of, this is what the problem was, this is why you didn't realize what it was, and then I've detailed how we can avoid it ever happening again. So yeah, I can only speak highly of your service desk because I don't need to use them very much, and when I do, they're great. For me, being the group consolidation manager, I'm able to set up exactly what I want all of our subsidiaries to do. We've got 80 or so users around the world. That's 20 companies that we first started with in my time, and we're about 30 or 40 different companies that are reporting on Controller across 5 countries in the world. The way we have structured it is that we split our month-end submissions into 2. So because we've got quite tight deadlines to our shareholders, we do an intercompany submission 3 days before month-end, and everyone enters their intercompany. It gives our group finance manager a bit of time to review their balances, make sure everyone's matching off to one another. They can see it themselves though. So when they do enter whoever goes second to enter their intercompany results can see what the other counter company has entered. And it's really on them to make sure that that's matching, but it gives us a little review time. So working day one, we've set up our second submission where everyone has to enter their data into controller. For us, it's been up and running for a long time, I think 17 years. So even before my time, we tend to, a user will log in and just see an Excel form and they'll enter their data in, either copy and paste or type in their data. So we're not particularly using all the functionality that we could do to load data, but it works very quickly for us. We've got the product installed on our own servers on premise, as you talked about earlier, and we happen to deploy it over an Amazon Web Services over AppStream, so that all our users, multi-factor authentication, can get in securely and enter their data. We then manage hourly backups that the IT team are able to restore if I ever need them. And then I have test databases, so I can do some testing and a whole dev environment. If I'm going to propose a change in the future, I can test it all out in advance. On our second submissions, that's where we get people to enter their trial balances, their cash flows, and some breakdown analysis. So they can only set to ready in that scenario if they have a trial balance that balances. It won't accept a pound out. It absolutely must balance, and they must make sure their opening balances match to closing, and make sure that any of the reconciliation rules I've set up in the chart of accounts are followed. So if I want a breakdown of interest, it has to absolutely tie to interest on the trial balance. Breakdown equals total. Then once the company has submitted, they lock it, so they cannot make any changes. So for me as a consolidation user, I know who's submitted. I can track that status easily on a listing of where people are up to. And once they've locked, only I can unlock if we have a conversation to make a change. So it gives me quite good reassurance that the data's integrity is good, it's all balancing, and it must not be changed after a certain point. So as Neil said, when I'm doing a month-end close and I've got 3 days to get those results to the shareholders, I can see where I'm up to with locking data, and then only I can put in journals beyond that. And quite often that happens. So then I'll have a review meeting with CFO, and there might be an occasional change, but at least I can just enter that change and rerun everything quite straightforwardly. For us, we are doing those actual results monthly. We're also doing annual budgets. So every OpCo, as we call them, and each of our operating companies has to enter their budget so that we can then do comparisons, actual to budget and actual to prior year. We like to be able to review our revenue in different streams, so we can see the primary production revenue, which is our TV shows, and secondary, where we've sold it abroad to other countries. So we're able to do our month-end reporting pack. It's able to give me a balance sheet, a P&L, summarized by company across or by types of revenue stream, see my gross profit by different types. And then I can also, an interesting thing that we do for management reporting, we kind of focus on EBITDA, which to us has rent in the P&L as an operating cost. So we have layers of controller data. The data that's entered by the reporting company, they also add a journal if they have a lease. So we've chosen this to set it up that way so that we can flick a switch on and off to see results before and after IFRS 16 lease accounting, because management want to see EBITDA before, but our statutory accounts want to see it after. So we're able to meet the requirements with an on and an off switch, thanks to good setup. So that in that case, I did have some time with the consultants. This was many years ago for us, just to make sure that we designed it in such a way that would give us ease of reporting before and after. The same with our year end. We have additional forms that we only ask for at a year end. So you can have all your form sets being different for month end, different for budget, different for year end in our case, although some people, I'm sure other customers, keep it the same throughout the year. It's a choice. And we've chosen to ask for lots of extra information at year end, be that director emoluments and share capital breakdowns and fixed asset breakdowns, etc. So that works for us, and it enables me to do many types of reporting. So management accounts, statutory accounts, and reports to our lenders when we do management discussion and analysis, and do that within a tight deadline. And yeah, I've never not met the deadline in terms of having any issues. So thankfully to me, it's working well, and it allows me to do, like you said before, those intercompany eliminations are all automatic. That's automatically looking at the revenue, the cost of sales, the balance sheet, and eliminating out all those intercompany items. Our choice is we do the investment eliminations manually. So once a new company has been acquired, we would post a group journal to eliminate its investment against share capital, against net assets. But I know it's capable of doing that in an automatic way if you choose to set that up. And then in terms of managing the users, I've got about 80. Some are most are data entry, some are reviewers, and then 10 or so in the group at head office. And I like that each of those have the security levels that I am in charge of. So I'll say which companies they can see or group of companies, and if they can only see minimal screens versus seeing as much as a group user would see. That's a bit of a fast overrun of how we're using the system and the benefits for us. For us, we mainly use the Excel reporting features, and we do also have the planning analytics, where at the moment it just trickles in. So all of our controller data trickles into planning analytics, and we're able to run reports in there as well. And that report then that I've written, but everyone of the other 80 users is able to see that standardized report it's bespoke that I've written it, but they can't make edits to it. So they're able to run that at month end as a little management pack to review their submission. How about that, Neil? That was a quick blur.
That's very good, and it backs up some of the things we've been saying about you're in control, and about how reliable it is, and how you've grown with the system. And I think when I originally sold you the software, I think we gave you 15 or 20 licenses. How many have you got now?
80 now.
Gives you an idea.
We're always growing.
So it says much about All3Media and television production companies, but it also says the fact that it was a great solution when we implemented it, but it's continued to be a good solution over quite a number of years, and has grown, has changed. It's a shadow of its former self of what I actually implemented originally. This is the great thing about it. It's a database, so you get out of it what you put into it, really, and it's a very robust solution as far as you're concerned, which is good.
Yeah, well, I'm happy after this call if other people want to speak to me separately, then I'm happy to do so. So I know we've kind of gone over time. I don't know if Max was going to say something next, or if we're getting any questions, but we're nearly there, I suppose.
Yeah, we are running out of time, so obviously we can expand this webinar, but if some people need to leave, just to tell you that we'll talk mainly about the roadmap of controller. And obviously, if you want to stay with us, you are welcome. So quickly, so we have a proven track record with over 1,400 customers in more than 50 countries, all types of customers from SME to large enterprise, using the product both on cloud and on-premise, and across all industries. So we have a very loyal client base. A lot of our customers use Controller for more than 15 years. And as you know, IBM is a trust company, and they continue to invest and supporting Controller, which is very good. Next slide, please. IBM has been designated as a leader in the BPM landscape matrix. So BPM is a major analyst company. in the enterprise performance management sector. We have been graded as excellent for consolidation. Obviously, that's a very nice assessment, which has been made by Craig Schiff, who is who co-founded both IBM and Outlooksoft. So that's very valuable. Team updates, I think Neil mentioned that we decided in the last 2 years to increase our core development team by 50%, and also we expanded our cloud team and support team. Next slide, please. Okay, what is in our roadmap? So we have 4 pillars: modern user experience, enhanced integration, native cloud, and AI. Regarding the modern user experience, so we want to continue working on our user experience thanks to Controller Web and the expertise of our designers. So our main focus is always to improve the speed of financial close. So we try to find a new user experience, also functionalities that can help you to close faster your financial close. Obviously, so as I mentioned, we always keep in mind to add high value features. So that's regarding the modern user experience. Regarding the enhancements in integration, we want to improve our integration with planning analytics. So today we use FAP, which is a tool that allows transfer of data from controller to PA in real time. So that's something we'd like to improve a little bit. Also, we have now a visual harmonization with planning analytics. So since the last release, the look and feel is exactly the same between controller and planning analytics. Also, what we would like to do is to improve our integration with third-party tools thanks to Export API. So to facilitate the export, for example, to Power BI. Native cloud is to provide more self-service capabilities. That's what we have today, and also a better user experience. The plan is also to be integrated with PA-SaaS. So today we are integrated with PA running on IBM Cloud. The goal is also to support the integration with PA running on AWS. And then AI. So regarding AI, well, I would say there are 2 axes. First is the natural language processing to support self-help task, and then is to leverage some IBM AI tools like Watson Speech to capture some keywords, and Watson Assistant to identify some actions or take some actions. For example, posting a journal. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I was quite fast. So here it's only to show you really a brief demo of Controller Web used by the reporting side users. As you can see, there is a company workflow with some alerts, red alerts when actions needs to be taken. And from there, the user can populate his data, import his data, do intercompany reconciliation, book journals, reconcile his data, review his data by creating easy report, fast report, and then submit the data. It can submit the data only when there are no more red alerts.
Yeah.
I think that's it for me. Let's see if there are any questions in the chat.
Well, we've been going for over an hour, Max. So I think we've managed to avoid any questions, unless anybody's got any. We've had a couple of questions in the meantime, which we've answered. But I think that's it in terms of questions. Thank you, Max, for your support as always. Thank you, Catherine, for putting your head above the parapet and helping us. The next step really is to do some proper demos. I'm sure that's what everybody wants, really, is to actually see the software. You can spend an hour talking about it, but really you want to see it. So pretty soon we'll be posting dates of when the demos, the product demos are coming up. I'd like to thank everybody and our team on this side and IBM and Catherine for helping us to deliver this this webinar. It takes a lot to put together. If you want to contact us, then info@hain.co will get general inquiries. If you need to contact me about anything I've said here, then neil.whitmore@hain.co. And in the meantime, we'll see you soon on the product demo. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you all.